The buzz around India's inclusion in the global bond index is growing stronger. The nation has been preparing for this remarkable milestone for quite some time. However, thus far it has failed to achieve this glorious feat. But talks of India's inclusion have picked up steam after Goldman Sachs published a note recently saying that it expects India to be included in JPMorgan's government bond index emerging markets in 2023. Now, if that happens, India will be among the last of the large emerging markets to be included in the global bond indices. But why is it such a salivating prospect, and what purpose would inclusion in the global bond index serve? Hi there, I'm Nandita Khemka and I'll try to answer all these questions in this video. But first, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the Money Control YouTube channel. Let's first understand what an index is. An index is an indicator or a measure of something. Indexes typically measure the performance of a basket of securities. For example, Nifty 50 is a benchmark Indian stock market index that represents weighted average of 50 of the largest Indian companies listed on the National Stock Exchange. And this index tracks the behavior of the portfolio of blue chip companies, the largest and most liquid Indian securities. In the bond market, there are indices that track three kinds of bonds: high-yield risky bonds, emerging market bonds and government bonds. Now coming to the next and most obvious question, what is a global bond index? Global bond indices help investors track the movement in bonds in multiple jurisdictions. This also helps in making relative comparisons. Indices serve as benchmark to investments made by mutual funds, pension funds and other large investors that typically prefer to hold on to investments for a longer period. You can also say that indices are guides to investments. So why is inclusion in global bond indices so critical? It is difficult and cumbersome for global investors to track multiple bond markets in multiple countries. This is where global bond indices come in handy. Investors globally track key indices to make their investment decisions. Global funds have a goal to either match or outperform the returns of the indices. And according to that, they either increase or cut their investments into a particular bond market. Now coming to the important part, what is the criteria for inclusion in bond indices? Now there are three main criteria: liquidity, safety and returns. Besides this, the size of the market, the sovereign rating and ease of access are also among the main asks. Yet another ask is the settlement of investments on international clearing houses such as Euroclear. For instance, JPMorgan insists that trades be settled in Euroclear for inclusion in its emerging market bond indices. Does India meet the criteria for inclusion? Well, the Indian sovereign bond market ticks all the boxes in terms of liquidity, safety and even returns. However, it's the tax policy that does not meet the criteria for settlement in Euroclear. What's more is that even if settlement is allowed to be on domestic clearing houses, the process is cumbersome for foreign investors, and the fear is that this may prevent them from making investments. Further, the government is not willing to exempt foreign investors from capital gains tax, as it believes that this would be discriminatory for domestic investors. But if a country reflects certain strengths in several other parameters, index holders could make an exception. Furthermore, strong investor interest could also sway opinion on inclusion, which seems to be the case for India. Now, what are the odds of India getting included in the bond indices? Despite some challenges, the global investors have shown an interest in taking exposure to Indian fixed income market. Now, the RBI's move to allow foreign investors unbridled access to select bonds has also boosted sentiment. Resolution is expected on some of the operational issues such as settlement of investment on global clearing houses. Now, this is something that would pave the way for the Indian bonds to be included in JPMorgan Global Bond Index. You must be wondering, how will India benefit from inclusion? Inclusion in these indices would open the floodgates to investments worth billions of dollars from passively managed funds. Further, an inclusion would strengthen India's foreign investor base. Greater FII participation would mean that bond yields could be kept under check. If yields are in check, the RBI won't face the dilemma of stepping in as a buyer to reduce the government's borrowing cost. And a steady flow of dollars also keeps the exchange rate from depreciating too much. Hope this video helped you understand why it's so critical for India to pursue inclusion in the global bond indices. So that's it from me. For more such videos, keep watching Money Control.